Hello, dear listeners. Welcome to the LTP podcast. Today we'll be answering the question, whatever happened to Robbot?
Oh no. Oh no.
So what? Yeah, so Leonard left me with that question. I was like, okay, so Jordan's gonna be on the show. What do you want me to ask him? And I wasn't expecting this at all, but he was literally like, okay, when he comes on, you gotta ask him about Robbot. And I'm like, what? So
Did
can you tell us, give us some context. What is Robbot?
Okay, well, first of all, I'll just say hi. I'm Jordan King, freshman in UNLV right now, computer science major. Just a little quick intro about myself.
Yes, welcome to the podcast, Jordan.
Thank you. Did I ever tell you about RobBot, or are you in any like Discord servers that?
I sadly have not had the pleasure of having Robbot on my server. Oh, what happened?
Oh,
But yeah, Leonard kind of told me a little bit, but no,
oh
I'm
man. See, in hindsight, I kind of feel bad for making RobBot because the sole intention of it was kind of just to make fun of Robert. Like
it,
literally. So okay, for anyone who doesn't know what like RobBot is a Discord bot that I created that is supposed to pretend to be like Robert, our friend Robert Smith, and he
the
does different
randomness.
things. He comes in and just says random things depending on like what's going on in the chat. So like if you say the word Robert, he'll respond with like a quirky, funny line, or if you enter in a certain command, he'll do something stupid. So like I have a command that says Rob clap, and it just spams the clapping emoji because that's what we used to do to Robert.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, and I have another command that says like Rob clap, or not Rob clap. I just said that.
Yeah.
It's a Rob pic. So it'll send a picture of Robert. I got like 90 different pictures from people.
90? That's an impressive amount.
I said whoever has pictures of Robert, just send it to me, and I'll put in a Robbot, and like I got so many pictures. Yeah, so
Nice.
that's
So
basically what
it's
it does.
okay. Well,
Um,
Leonard is asking for some updated functionality. So
yeah,
are there any plans for that?
that's
I would assume not, right?
kind of yeah. So one thing that's kind of bad about Robbot is that it's not really funny anymore. It's kind of a nuisance, honestly, in
It's
servers.
it's still just there.
Yeah, because like it, like the novelty is worn off. So like it's just kind of something that's just been there now, and like whenever people are just trying to casually talk, Robbot will be like, "Shut up, Robert," or something dumb like that, and we're like actually trying to have a genuine conversation.
Uh-huh.
So I did mention this before to Leonard, and sadly I haven't gotten to it yet. I told him I was going to make changes to Robbot back in like God November. I didn't ever
Oh,
do it.
last year.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. I was actually I wanted to finish building my new PC first, actually, which we can talk about later. That was been like a really cool thing that I've done recently.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wanted to add a bit more randomness to his responses because right now I think there's like if you say the word Robert, he will respond no matter what. So I feel like I should add a randomness to it so that the chance of Robbot appearing is something that someone can look forward to, not something that they expect, you know?
Okay.
So like add just I don't know, a 1 in 25, 1 in 30 chance that he'll respond to the word Robert. Seems like it would make it more special when he comes on.
Would be more special. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I guess it would probably make the conversations go a little bit more
Yeah.
well, differently, to say the
Yeah.
least.
Um and then I don't know, something like I wanted to add new commands to him. Like I wanted the ability to completely shut him off in case he's being too like disruptive. Because
Mhm.
like there are times when like a chat in Discord is like actually serious, and to have something be like, God, I don't know what it says. Like he has so many dumb responses. It's just stupid. It's like, oh, Mr. Win joins the server, or like shut up, Robert. Just dumb stuff like that, or like not funny, didn't laugh. It kind of it just derails the whole entire like conversation in Discord,
Yeah.
and yeah, that so the ability to turn them off would be really nice. But
Okay.
Based on the way that I did it though, Robbot works as uh like a single script. So I have a script running on a server. There's this program called Heroku, and
Mhm.
you can go on there, publish your scripts so that they run infinitely, but you have like a limited number of hours to run it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so like towards the end of the month, I'll run out of free hours for that month, and Robbot will shut down until he comes back up on the first. So like tomorrow he'll come back up.
Right.
So
Oh.
yeah,
Okay. Well, yeah,
so
so definitely some changes to be made.
definitely have to do
But
that.
yeah. But yeah, for context, that's essentially how it happened in school too. It's almost a one-to-one recreation.
Yeah,
But yeah, so you were saying something about building a PC. Did you want to talk
yeah,
about that?
yeah, sure. Uh,
Because I
so
know, sorry, but the
yeah.
last person who was on was talking about building a PC too, and he was like, "It's so hard to find good parts
Oh my
now."
God, yeah. Uh, for me to have built my PC, I feel like I did it right at the right time, just barely at the right time, because I kind of figured, okay, so I got paid from doing Eli's app thing, which we'll talk about here in a sec.
Yeah,
And I was like, okay, with
lots of
this,
foreshadowing today.
yeah, lots of foreshadowing. And I was like, so with that money that I got, I was like, now's the best time to build a computer because well, in hindsight, like theoretically, it's the best time to build a computer. We got
Mhm.
all online classes, all of our homework's online. I just did a big programming thing online. To be able to have a high function computer is, amazing. It's very important right now in this time of the world. So
Yeah.
figured why not make one? And by the time I got paid, Black Friday was a month away. So
Oh,
within that,
perfect timing.
yeah. So within that month, I was like, okay, I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna plan out how to make this computer. And I
Mhm.
talked to Ricky a lot. Ricky, I knew that he built his own computer and he works on computers a lot. So I was like, I'm gonna
Yeah.
talk to him as much as I can. And yeah, so he helped me pick out all the different parts and whatnot. We were good to go. I
Okay.
got lucky though because my graphics card I got from a dude on OfferUp. Like pure
Yeah.
coincidence. No, this dude, he was sketchy as hell. He was super sketchy, super duper sketchy. And he's like, "Yeah, I'll get that part in soon." What do you mean you're gonna get that part in soon? Where are you getting these parts from? It doesn't say.
Little people
Yeah,
gotta know.
yeah. And I was like, "Say less. If I don't know, I don't know. That's fine. It doesn't hurt me."
Ignorance is bliss, dude.
Exactly. And dude, when I went to go pick it up, so I wanted to originally get an RTX 2080 Super.
Mhm.
He had a Founders Edition created by Nvidia for like $300. I was like, "There's no way."
Really?
Yeah, dude.
No way.
Yeah, dead ass, dead ass. He had this, and then he was like, "Sorry, man, I sold that, but I got some other graphics cards." And I was like, "Oh well, shit. I guess I'll see whatever you got." And when I went to go pick it up, he took two graphics cards. Well,
Mhm.
he took one graphics card. Sorry, he had one left, and he put it on the hood of his on the trunk of his car. He's like, "All right, you can look at this." This dude pulled out a brand new RTX 2070 Super Gaming X. Those
What?
thick ones with LED lights and shit on it.
Yeah.
Completely brand new. And this is how I knew it was brand new.
Hmm.
That thing still had the plastic stuff that they put on brand new products that you have to
Yeah.
peel off?
There's a word for that. It's like micro wrap? I don't remember. I don't remember.
Shrink
But
wrap?
yeah. Yeah, shrink wrap, shrink wrap.
Yeah. It had a little bit on it on like the decals and stuff. And when I looked up a picture of like someone unboxing it, it was exactly the same. Had all the same stuff on it. This graphics card was brand new, completely brand new.
That's insane.
And guess how much I paid for it?
Hmm.
Now, mind you, at the time, these graphics cards were going for like $700 because of scalpers.
Yeah, yeah, there were so many scalpers.
I got it for $275.
Dude, no way.
$275.
That's
Best deal,
ridiculous.
best deal I ever made. Best thing that's ever happened to me. And I got lucky.
Dude, you did get lucky. I can't, the way you're describing it, it's like you show up in some sketchy parking lot, and this dude just whips out a graphics card. Well, you're
Dude.
lucky he didn't like shake you right there.
Oh, dude, it was scary. Like I was with Omid too, right? Omid was trying to get some parts from him as well. I
Yeah,
just think this dude was like he didn't understand like the weight of these devices. Like he didn't understand how important they were or like how in demand they were. So
yeah,
he was just like, all right, 275, 300 for a device like this, that makes sense. I didn't say anything. I just said, yeah, 275 is usually how much they go working,
yeah, yeah. No, I think that's a
Shit.
good price range. Yeah,
Yeah, that kind of makes sense. And he's like, all right, here you go. So thank you for your time. And then I went back to Ricky's
transaction
to
complete.
yeah, I went back to Ricky's to test it out on his computer, and his dad's
Yeah,
like, "You got this. This is yours. You actually got this." And I was like, "Yeah, it's all right." Like I didn't realize like how lucky I was in the moment. I was like, "Yeah, it's all right," but my case might not fit it, so I might do something else. He's like, "Buy a new case. Buy a new
yeah,
case. This is
you,
amazing."
yeah.
Oh shit.
That's
I'm so
awesome, dude.
yeah. And then the rest of my PC just kind of unfolded, and I'm really happy
Mhm.
with the results. I spent all of Christmas Eve building it, and then because I
Mhm.
was also waiting on a CPU that took a while to get,
Yeah,
um, built it on Christmas Eve and then booted it up for the first time on Christmas. Best gift ever.
very nice.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yes, that is an
Best
awesome gift to yourself.
best decision I've made in a long time. So that's the
That's
story.
that is quite a story.
Yeah,
Did Umi get his parts that night too?
he got a CPU, and that's
Oh,
it.
from that guy. Wait,
Yeah,
so that, you're telling me that guy set up shop for these GPUs, CPUs, and he's just selling them
yeah.
for cheap? That's
The thing is,
crazy.
he says he gets some from wholesale. Now you could make it that what you want. I kind of just eventually I was like, I don't care where this guy's getting them from. I just want to get them. You know,
Yeah.
he's not a very reliable source. It took me a long time to get that card
Mhm,
because like I had to continue talking to him, and then the original card that I wanted he didn't have.
mhm.
So I won't be buying anything from him again. But I got lucky. That's all that was luck, pure luck.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Dude, well, congrats. What
yeah.
have you been running on that?
Minecraft. That's
The
it.
classic?
Yeah, that's it, dude. Oh my god, running in Minecraft at like 400 frames is a whole new feeling. When you've been running at like 20, 30 frames your whole life.
That's crazy. It's like you went into the future and like
Yeah.
took like some new age technology to play Minecraft.
Yeah, I can run
That,
shaders now
that's
with no
awesome.
problem. It's a dream come true, dude.
That's
Uh,
super cool.
yeah. I've been
Yeah,
playing
well,
I've just been playing a lot of like older games, honestly, the ones that like I've never had the experience to play because I've always had like a crappy computer.
mhm.
So, I don't know, like Portal, like some old Steam games that like classics, Portal, TF2, Gary's Mod. I've been playing that lately. I might get Half Life as well.
Okay. Well,
Yeah,
some of those are definitely overkill, but yeah, I can feel that. They're classics for a reason, right?
yeah, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Well, why don't you tell us how you funded that? What you said you were working on Eli's project for a while, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. You haven't told me too much about it. I was waiting for today.
Okay. Yeah. Sure. So, do you kind of understand like Eli and like what the app is, or like?
Yeah, yeah. You told me about it a little bit. Would you mind recapping though for?
hmm So back in the 11th grade, Eli got a job through one of his church friends, like adult church friends, and they said, Eli, we know you're good at programming. Could you program this app for us?
Mhm,
And the app is essentially a training thing. You can kind of think of it kind of like Canvas, where there's like modules, and you add people to your group to work on those modules. It's kind of like in that vein, but a lot more simplified, and it's targeted towards blue collar workers. So if you're in construction, electricity, um, HVAC, all that stuff, it's
Yeah.
designed for them to take training safety modules or like informational training modules and you know, get more informed, I guess. They
Okay.
each module consists of a video and like a series of questions that they have to answer. So they watch the video and then they answer the questions and they have a week to complete those modules and then they
Mhm.
move on to the next module. That's how it works. That's pretty much the essence of the app. You can either be someone who owns a training course or someone who is a part of that, and they have to do the modules and the tests.
I see. Okay. And so it sounds like was this coded like from scratch, or did you guys have something to work off of
So back in the day, back in the day, that's 11th
back in the
grade.
day?
It's not even that long ago. So when Eli did it, he programmed it. This was his first time using Swift. He did it straight off of the iOS programming language. That's incredible. I could have never done that because Swift is a whole new ball game. You know, it's kind of easy. It's made for web app development, but it's a whole new ballpark. And that dude did it all in the
Oh,
11th grade. So
very
that
nice.
was really cool. But the reason why I got involved was because uh, towards the beginning of September last year,
Mhm.
Eli contacted me, and this is something that I knew he was going to contact me on eventually because we talked about it in the past.
Yeah.
But that his app is clunky, and you know, like I'm not going to bag on him. What he did was amazing, right? But to be fair, the app was pretty, clunky. The user interface wasn't all that nice.
Yeah.
Some of the functionality didn't make sense. There's a lot of redundant components in there, and
Mhm.
I'm not going to
Well,
fault him on that because, like, that was his first time ever doing Swift. I would have done the same thing.
yeah, it's totally to be expected, right?
Yeah. So he basically
So,
said, "All right." I talked. He talked to his manager who hired him originally, and said, we're down to have you come on board and reprogram the app from the ground up using this JavaScript library known as React Native. I think I talked to you about that before. Yeah, you know what that is.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
And
for listeners who don't really know much about it, it's essentially just another way to program it, right? A
yeah,
way to, yeah.
it lets you use JavaScript to make apps, but the quirk about it is that you're not limited to just one device.
Mhm.
Because with Swift, if you use Swift, you're only going to make iOS apps. Period. You
Yeah.
can't make any other apps. And if you use Java, that's limited to only Android apps. And
Mhm.
it's very clunky to have an iOS and an Android base. That's what Eli and Braxton actually did back with the app. Before they had two separate code bases that they were working on in parallel. That did not work. That was really bad. So by using React Native, we can have one code base for both Android and Apple.
Yeah.
That was my job.
Mm. Well, I mean, that's definitely a challenge on its own because I mean, at least for me when I've been trying to like convert something from like one language to another, there's still like sometimes there's like functions like missing. Like it doesn't like translate over sometimes. So
Yeah.
I'm sure you had a challenge
Well,
doing that too, huh?
here's the funny thing. I've never seen his code for that app. When I say I built that stuff from the ground up, I built it from the ground up.
Oh,
I had his app, and I'd
yeah.
look at it and be like, okay, so he did that. Let me try putting that into the app. What happens when I hit this button? Okay, I'll add that to the app. Like I built that from the ground up, and
Oh yeah.
yeah, it wasn't in the beginning. It wasn't too bad because I've had some exposure to React Native in the past. Like
Mhm.
towards the beginning of quarantine, I messed around with it a little bit. I created a little calculator app, just so I can test out the functionality of React Native. And then
Mhm.
when we were in Dev Club, we worked on it a little bit too. Not that much, but I've been exposed to it nonetheless.
Yeah. Well, I heard you guys did some cool stuff in there. Are you still are you in something similar at the moment or
Uh, yes and no. We can get back on that though in a bit.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, anyway,
Kind of,
so
yeah.
going back to what you were working on, how did it, was there anything that was like weird when you were trying to make it?
Oh God.
Or were there too many things that were weird?
Well, okay. React Native is cool because it's like it's built with a language called JSX, which is basically just JavaScript and HTML5 combined. So the user interface was not that bad to make. It was like making an HTML page. You know, you got tags for certain things. You got a tag for text. You write your text bubble in there. Yada yada yada. You know. What that part wasn't bad, but the part that made me want to rip out my hair. This is bad. This is horrible. This made me want to cry, dude. So I was getting down to the deadline. Eli said I had a month to complete the app, and I'd get paid like get paid for my work. And I told him, yeah, you know, my birthday is October 3rd. I'll get it done like before my birthday. You know, whatever. It'll be my birthday gift. I finish it.
Yeah.
That didn't happen. That did not happen.
I mean, from the start, I think 1 month to from the
Yeah,
ground up,
yeah, that's
pretty ambitious deadline to say
it.
the least.
Yeah, that was. I don't know how the hell I even why I agreed to that. I was like, yeah, a month easy, no worries. What the hell was I thinking, dude? But like October 16th was the deadline, you know, and I started like September 1st, and I was like, okay, you know, that's enough time. If I work on this on the weekends, I could probably get a decent amount done.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, and what happened is that towards the last week of before it was due, I was working on one of these components, and I knew it was going to be a difficult component, but I wasn't prepared. I was not prepared at all for what just happened. So the thing was, you have to be able to create training modules, right? The user needs to be able to add a video URL, add the name of the training module, add the questions, stuff like that. And I was like, okay, no biggie, that should be fine. But what happened is that when I create, how do I even explain it? So there's this function where you can press an add button to add another question, right? And then you can go back and of course look at the question that you just wrote and all of its answer choices. But then you can always go back to the next one that you're about to make. You know, easy
Yeah,
functionality, right?
for
The
sure.
problem is that every single time I added a new question, you know, it would work fine. But then when I went back, everything that the person wrote was deleted. Everything. And I was like, why is this happening? You know, it's still there. It's still there. Why is it disappearing? And Jacob, I spent a week on this problem. A
No
week.
way.
I called up Eli and I said, I was about to cry. I said, dude, I cannot figure this out. I still have other things to do. I still had other features I needed to add. And I was stuck on this one thing. And I was like, can't we just have it so that, like, I don't know, there's a set number of questions beforehand? Can't we just do it? Can't you just pay me without having to do this portion? And he's like, you know, Jordan, I feel your pain, but like, we're paying you to do this. If you don't do this, we can't really pay you for that portion. And I was like, oh my God. So Eli kind of had like a little pep talk with me. He said, dude, take a week break, get it done I'll give you another week. All right. Just take a break. Don't even think about it. And then come back to it. And I was like, okay, I'll do that. I'll do it, whatever. So when I went back and I figured it out, you know what? The problem was so weird because it wasn't something that I did.
Okay.
Sure, the code for that was convoluted, right? It was really convoluted. I reprogrammed that entire section because it was so bad. But the problem was that I misunderstood the way React Native worked to a degree. So adding questions involves conditional components. So think of one question as a component, but it's not static.
Okay.
There's going to be more components of that type added depending on what the user does. So it's a dynamic conditional components. The problem though with that is that there's this thing in React Native called states, and states are what update uh, all the different variables and the components uh, in like a code bank.
Okay.
So when you have, so you can think of like the questions as being like what the user wrote as being a state. The state was updated because they wrote it. The problem is that when that page goes out of render, everything gets deleted because the state no longer exists. And states, when they're being
Oh.
dynamically rendered, when components are being dynamically rendered, the state doesn't update.
Hmm.
The state stays depending on how it was placed into the dynamic render. I don't know if I'm explaining this correctly, but basically the core function of React Native doesn't work in that one situation.
Oh. So it's kind of like, well, what it sounds like to me, it's almost like you were initializing a very like an
Yeah.
object or something, and then like it didn't save for um subsequent runs or something. Is that essentially
Yeah.
what's happening or something else?
So React Native is called React.
Either way,
Yeah.
frustrating, I'm sure.
React Native is called, well, React is called React because states react to each other, right? Like that's what React Native is built upon. But for dynamic things, so putting a component and then pushing it into an array of more components of the same type, when you try rendering that,
Mhm.
the states and props, so like the variables put into it, like the parameters,
Mhm.
don't change. They are static. They will stay the same. Whereas if I just put a component in render normally, no, what I do in other parts of the program, it'll update based on what I do. So basically, whatever was dynamic just wouldn't react to the rest of the program. They were in like its own tunnel. And I was like,
It's just separate from everything
yeah,
else.
it's like it was the weirdest thing. And it didn't help either that I was using a third-party module to like add a sliding animation between each little question. I thought I was being cute. And so eventually I was like, I need to rebuild this. I basically rebuilt the module that I was using.
Mhm.
And it created, Jesus Christ, this is such a weird, I'm realizing now, like, how did you even figure this out, dude? This is hell. This was hell.
Dude, it must have worked somehow, I guess.
Yeah, I basically said, okay, so the problem is that these things are going out of render. When they go off the page, they no longer exist. So I need to figure out a way to make sure that they still exist even though they're off the page.
Mhm.
So as you take one question, I basically want to take this question page and move it off
Mhm.
the screen and take this other question page and move it here. That's it.
Yeah.
That way this one still exists. Everything that was entered here still exists. But then you have a new question. And then when you want, you can just slide back to the past question.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. I took a component in React Native and I said, okay, its length will be changed depending, like it's called a scroll view. So like
Mhm.
that's basically a component that lets you scroll a bunch of different components on a thing.
Okay.
I feel like I'm losing you.
No, I mean, I think it's pretty telling of like how programming and stuff is because this kind
Yeah.
of thing happens like almost all the time.
The,
Like it's something that you're not expecting at all to be the most like complicated step.
yeah, it's see, usually when it comes to finding bugs and stuff, it's always something stupid I did. Like maybe I didn't write a condition correctly or like I miswrote the logic somewhere.
Mhm.
This was a bug unlike any I've ever encountered before because when you think about it, it wasn't really my fault. It was I just misunderstood a, a part of React Native that like I wasn't aware of. Like a part
Yeah.
that just wasn't there. And I was like, well damn, now I need to figure out how to work around that.
Mhm.
And eventually I did. I just learned that like, hey, these questions need to exist still. They can't just fade out of existence. They just need to go off the page. And that once I got that, it worked. and then
Yeah.
the rest is history. I finished the app, yeah, with like an hour left before the deadline.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I should say though that it's not on the App Store yet. We've kind of had Eli has been going through his own hell because the boss, his boss told us like, hey, let's change some things here and there. You know, I got paid again to go back and add another feature, which wasn't bad,
Mm.
and like change some bits of the UI a little bit, so that's better.
Yeah.
Um, but Eli was tasked with adding a feature that lets a user, instead of choosing a video off of YouTube to add to the training modules, he was supposed to add a feature that allows you to upload a video from your camera roll so that can be
Mm.
used. But he has not figured out how to do it. And he had like a month. He couldn't figure it out.
A month for that one.
He spent a long time on that.
That's
And
crazy.
yeah, you think it's like other apps do this all the time. Why can't our app do it?
Yeah.
I guess it's just a quirk with Firebase. That's the back end thing that we used for it.
Mm.
And like, you know, I Firebase isn't bad. You know, Firebase was actually pretty easy to use. It was pretty intuitive.
Mm.
It's just when it comes to having like videos, it's either you save it to Firebase, the whole video, or you do something else. And that doesn't work because you can't save a whole video to Firebase. We have limited amount of space. We can't
Yeah.
save all your videos.
Yeah.
So it's still a problem that we're actively trying to work around right now. But Eli's boss kind of just said, it's fine. We just won't have this feature for now. We'll just get rid of it for now. Eventually, we will get back to it and put it in.
Mm.
But for now, it's kind of just in the work in progress. But
Yeah.
we have a version of the app that Eli just sent to the App Store. So
Mm.
hopefully by in the next few days, it'll get approved and you guys can download it. The app is called Kingdom
Very cool.
Safety if you
Yeah.
wanna view it.
Yeah.
Pretty
I'll include a link in the show notes, and maybe
yeah
if you want to plug it at the end too.
yeah
But yeah, that's crazy. I think getting it as perspective on like from the developer side is really telling because you could I could
yeah
definitely see that too. Like, okay, Jordan, make it so that we can upload from camera roll, and you're like,
exactly.
okay, I got it, and then you do it.
I think that's gonna be a theme for like software developers as we move on to the future. It's that like the
Mhm.
person who wants the app just wants the thing, but
Yeah.
there's a lot of technicality to some of the things that people want, and
Mhm.
they're never gonna know about it. It's up to us to work on it. You know, something
Yeah.
that's easy to them is like impossible to us. You know,
Yeah.
and I think that's going to be a real disconnect that we have to learn to endure as we continue on being software developers in the future.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And I
Yeah.
think part of it too is like, I mean, you obviously observe the limitations of Firebase, you said, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure there's some other tool that allows you to do just that in one simple library, but you can't just build everything from the ground up every time.
Well,
So
that's one of
yeah.
the cool things about doing this project too, is that like I learned this isn't an app for school. No one's going to care if I use a third party module or if like I cheat off of Stack Overflow.
No,
Yeah,
that's just a best practice
yeah,
sometimes.
that's part of the job. If you can do it quick and efficiently and like you can get the job done quick if you just like look up these modules, do it. You know, why are you trying to do this all from the ground up? That doesn't make any sense.
Mhm.
So that's something I kind of learned midway through. I was like, there's a module that does exactly what I want to do and it's all abstracted for me. I'm just going to use that.
Yeah. And I mean that's probably some of the best part about being a developer is that
Oh, it's so awesome.
there's so much open source stuff. It's crazy.
So cool, dude.
It's
Like,
very nice.
yeah, very nice, very nice.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's still in progress. It sounds like so. Maybe the next time you're on, you can update us on that.
Yeah, version
But
of the app should be coming out soon though. So like a tangible version you guys can play around
yeah,
with. So that's cool.
yeah. Yeah, that would be cool to see. You guys get to see Jordan's work firsthand.
Yes, sir.
Um, yeah, and I mean, so you've been also working on some other stuff, right?
Uh,
I want to ask you about the process of your research paper because you've been working on that project since was that 11th or did you start that 12th?
12th grade.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know. The essay's kind of up in the air right now, like the actual research paper. I sent my revisions over to uh, the uh, the editors, but I haven't gotten a response back yet. I just assume it takes them a while to reread everything, check out all the things that I changed, double check to make sure that's within what they wanted. But so far I haven't received anything back. Oh, Mead actually got an email today saying
Mm,
that his paper's going through the publishing process right now, so sometime by
mm,
mid-March he should have it published. Uh,
very cool.
will I get an email soon? I can only hope.
Hope
I,
so,
I would
hopefully.
I would think if they rejected me, they would let me know
I am. I would hope so.
because what they said was that I was accepted with revisions. So my paper was accepted as
uh,
long as I revised it, which I did. I actually like my paper a lot more now that I've went back and like got rid of all the pretentious shit that I threw in it to like appease the College Board gods. you
yeah.
know, I went back and made things a lot more clear. I refocused the paper a lot. So
Mm,
I think I actually have a better product for them.
yeah.
Whether or not they think I did everything they wanted them, but if I did everything they wanted me to do, then that's up to
Hmm.
them. But I
Yeah.
think in the next couple of weeks or so, I might get an email saying like, whether or not I'm going through the publishing process or not.
Hmm. Well, I guess before we go too deep into like the paper and everything, why don't you tell us what's this paper
Yeah,
about?
yeah. That's should have talked about that first. So this paper, the thesis is basically can a or to what extent does a device that can assess a person's probability of having Parkinson's influence their decision to go seek a medical evaluation for that disease? So basically, it's like, okay, we already know that technology is amazing. Technology can do a lot of different things. It can,
Yep.
in some cases, predict cancer. It can, uh, uh, it can even perform surgery. We all know these things.
Hmm.
But let's say in a hypothetical situation that we have a device that people can take at home to test that they can take at home just by writing things down. They can assess whether or not they have Parkinson's disease. You know, if that exists, to what extent can that device actually influence people to go to the doctors and be like, hey, I think I have Parkinson's. Can we get that evaluated right now?
Hmm.
Because it stems from the main problem that people can go their entire life without knowing they have Parkinson's. And
Until
that's
it's like untreatable. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And by the time they realize that they have Parkinson's, they're like, I'm so debilitated now that there's really nothing you can do for me. If it's like with any disease, you catch it early on, it's so much more treatable than if you prolong it and you wait.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the whole basis for it. And it gave me an excuse to create a device that predicts Parkinson's.
Hmm.
You know,
Okay.
it's
So,
it's yeah, it was pretty cool.
so is the direction of your paper more on the side of influencing people, or is it more on the actual like prediction?
So I made a concession in my paper that I'm kind of an amateur at programming. There's only so much I can do when it comes to this thing. I don't want to falsely say that yes, this device does predict Parkinson's because that's not true. Of course it can. I'm not a doctor. I don't know every ins and out of the disease, and I don't know enough about programming. Like I'm being humble here, I really don't know a lot about programming to get that down to 100% accuracy.
Mhm. And
So
Jordan knows a lot. Side note to the listeners.
I mean, I don't know. I
But
definitely
yeah.
know this amount. So I told him I was like, this is about testing whether or not this device essentially persuades people to go and like say, hey, maybe I need an evaluation. Now, with that being said, though, the results aren't bullshit. They're not they're not fake results. I'm not just putting a random number in and saying, oh yeah, you got 100% Parkinson's, because that doesn't make sense. I actually,
Go get checked.
yeah, because like I wouldn't believe that either. What?
Yeah.
That's dumb. So I basically said, I took a research paper that a very like esteemed research paper that people did about the standardization of handwriting and
Mhm.
like how different features of your handwriting correspond to like different features of having Parkinson's. And I took the results that they found and it basically created like 90% confidence intervals around those things. So say like,
Praise statistics.
yeah, I took statistics then, so I should have known. So for example, if the report said that during a certain type of handwriting tests, people who had Parkinson's uh, wrote really small letters. Say they wrote letters that were as big as 5 centimeters long.
Mm.
That's kind of big. Say 2 centimeters, right? And I said, okay,
Giant
that
block letters.
yeah. So their median was 2 centimeters long. I said, okay, let me find the 90% confidence interval around that number,
Yeah.
and I'll base the threshold on the upper and lower bounds of that thing. So if a person has Parkinson's, let's say that they get somewhere close to that margin. Say they
Mm.
write a letter that's 3 centimeters long. That'll still give them a tick saying, hey, they might have Parkinson's.
I see.
So they don't have to be exactly on that number. They just have to be somewhere close to it.
Mhm.
That's what I did. So for every single thing, there's 3 different tests in there, and they all measure a different like kinematic of handwriting. So velocity, acceleration, duration, length, height, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it based on what that research paper said was validates Parkinson's. That's what
Mm.
I based the results on.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, there's flaws in the program, and I even mentioned that in the paper. Like it was kind of hard to use, and I'm pretty sure even though it was backed by a paper, people thought it was bullshit because the heck a 17-year-old kid wrote this. Of course, it's not real. So
Yeah, well, I mean, it has a basis, and I think the important part is that you were trying to apply something to technology
yeah,
in a way that, well, how I've heard it from you and from what I've looked into, there's not really anything that fulfills this kind of role, right?
yeah. There was a couple examples of people that tried doing something similar, but that's the thing, they never really assess whether or not people actually care. You know,
Yeah.
Steve Jobs could have created the iPhone and been like, yeah, this is gonna work. But if he never did like focus test groups on people using the device, he could have just released it to the public and people would have been like, I don't give a shit about this.
Yeah.
And then it would have tanked. No one would have liked it. You have to make sure that people are actually going to use your device.
Mm.
You know,
And so that's what your paper is about how a
basically.
device like what you've made
Yes.
influences their decisions.
Yeah. Whether or not it gives people impetus to go and uh, receive a medical diagnosis.
Mm.
Because like the one problem is that people aren't even going to the doctors to begin with.
Yeah.
But if we give them this device, this tool that's easily accessible, doesn't cost any money, can be taken at home, or like you can go to Albertsons and it's like right there. You can sit down and take it, 10 minutes done. You
Yeah.
know, if it's like that, if it's that easy, then they're like, well, I might as well. Sure, why not? Who cares? And they
Mhm.
sit down, they're like, oh my God, 90%? Are you kidding me? Maybe I should go to the
Get
doctors,
checked.
get it checked. And there you go. Now their foot's in the door. That's what I'm testing to see whether or not it actually influences people to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, what did you find, or is that something we have to wait until the paper's published?
Uh, you really want to read the paper? I can not give any spoilers, but I mean, I'll say there was a lot of
Okay.
there's a lot of problems with the device itself, and I think in the moment right now it demonstrates that we need a better device to really persuade people to go.
Mhm.
the device in its current iteration is not capable, like alone, it's not capable of influencing people on like a large amount of people to actually go. It needs to be more user friendly, more professional looking, I guess you could say, and it needs to be kind of backed by professional people. So
Yeah.
if a doctor were to come out and say, this device is reliable, this is a good device, you know, or if it was created by MIT students, not a student from ATech, then people would probably feel like, okay, this isn't bullshit, this will work. And it's just if it's easier to use too. I use a drawing tablet, and it kind of went over my head that like 90% of the population's never used a drawing tablet.
Yeah, I just got a drawing tablet this year,
Yeah.
and I think we're probably the outliers.
Yeah, it's a bit of a learning curve because you're like, okay, I'm not allowed to look down at the paper. I got to look in front of me and then know where my hand's at.
Yeah.
And for people that are 60 or 70, they don't even know how to use a phone. So, of course, they're not going to be able to use that.
So there's
So,
there's a couple things to consider then.
yeah, I said that we should probably create like an iPad app with the stylus. That way they're looking down at the thing and, actually seeing what they're drawing.
Mhm.
So that's the biggest conclusion. We need a better device. We need someone else to make this shit, not me. Yeah,
Someone more professional than I.
yeah. But I
But
mean, they found it to be impressive. They thought, well, dang, he actually created this. I linked my GitHub and everything to it, so they can see the code. And they were like, yeah, this is impressive. We should probably publish it based off of this.
yeah, that's legit, dude.
Yeah.
What was the actual like process? Because I know it's probably not that common that you publish a paper in your first year, right?
Yeah. uh, I should say though that like the publishing, it's not like my paper's getting put in a book. I mean, I don't
Like
think
a
it
journal or
is.
something.
Yeah, it's more like it's put into a database for
Mhm.
for like high school and college publishers.
Okay.
So it's still pretty esteemed. It's just not like, oh, I'm on EBSCO now. I'm one of these guys. So I mean, the process was actually pretty uninvolved. I mean,
Mhm.
I took Dr. Park emailed me saying, "Hey, I found this opportunity. You guys should take it." She sent it out to like a few people who took AP research,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Okay, I'll do this. Why not?" And I worked with Omid. Omid helps motivate me a lot in a lot of things that I do because I was like, I don't want to go back to this dog shit essay. I hated writing this. I don't want to go back and look at it, but I did. I looked back and I just had to reformat it based on how they wanted it to be reformatted, and I sent it to them. And then it took them a long time to get back to me. Like I sent it back in October, and
They
they
still
got back.
haven't really gotten back to you.
No, they just it wasn't until like January they said, or like early February they were like, yeah, we accepted your paper, but you need to revise it. And I was like, okay, great. You could have told me that back during winter break. Now
Yeah.
I'm back in school and I got to do it.
Mhm.
But it's not that bad. Like, it's really not that big of a process. And for Omid, I mean, he doesn't have to do anything else. They gave him an email today saying that they'll undergo the publishing process and there's no further steps required by him. So
That's awesome.
I'm hoping that's what happens to me too.
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like, at least to me, when you told me, I was like, "Well, what? People actually do that?" So I don't know. I find that pretty impressive. So
Yeah.
congrats to you, Jordan.
Thank you.
I'm glad. I hope the process goes well.
Me too. I can only cross my fingers at this point.
So are you gonna plan? I know your paper is a call to action for someone to build a better device. Is that? It sounds like, is that person gonna be you or no?
That's a very good question. Honestly, no, I don't think so. I've kind of, a part of me has always kind of wanted to do like medical programming. I figured there's a lot of like potential in that field, but I've kind of realized that this isn't really for me. I don't really want to go down that field that much. So if anyone wants to do it, anyone wants to replicate my research process, be my guest. I'd be more than happy. my code is on GitHub. Go look at it. You know,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be cool if someone did come up with a better iteration because I think that could probably help a lot of people, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the biggest reasons why I did this is because my grandmother had Parkinson's, and unfortunately, she died before she got to use it.
Mm.
Yeah, so uh, I don't know. To me, it's like I kind of figured, well, if she had known about this a long time ago, because she had only been diagnosed for 10 years before she died, even less than that. If she had known way beforehand, maybe she'd still be around.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. The noblest intentions.
yeah.
So what are the plans after this then? You said you probably don't want to do I mean, you've had a taste of it, medical programming now.
Uh, I'll keep
Anything
my
else you're interested in?
I'll keep my eyes open to any more research opportunities because I feel like there's still a lot of research that can be done with CS, just not medical, maybe environmental, maybe I don't know. It all depends on what I see, what I think is interesting. Maybe work
Yeah.
with a professor on something that they're working on.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of cool stuff. I mean, I told you way back when I was learning machine learning stuff. I think you
Oh
could
yeah,
definitely you could definitely learn parts of that. It's dude, if
yeah,
I could learn it, you could definitely learn it. So
yeah. That's true. It's just man, motivation's a bitch. It goes up and down all the time. Like
yeah.
you would have thought that I would have taken advantage of my time over winter break or like my time over the summer, even quarantine, even to program as much as possible. But it comes and goes.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't want to do it. Sometimes I really do. It, it just depends. But when I do get into it, I get into it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of the same way too. Because I mean, there's times when I'm like, okay, oh dude, this is super awesome, and then you code like this whole like thing over the weekend or in a week or whatever,
Yeah,
and then the week after you're just like, well, I think I kind of worked it up.
yeah,
Yeah, so I mean, I think that feeling hits us all,
yeah.
and I mean, you still get some stuff done. So
I just sometimes I just gotta kick my ass into gear. Last night I was actually working on a programming assignment for school. I stayed up all night because I was like, I want to finish this.
Mhm. Yeah,
It was
I
pretty cool.
yeah, dude, the life as like a programmer and like coding and everything is like I don't know if any other job is like this or like you really just get into it and you hit that like flow state.
Yeah, that's something when I've grown up, I've always kind of told myself, I don't want to work at something where I feel like it's a job. Everyone says that
Mhm.
they want to have fun when they work.
Yeah.
But I've noticed there's a few things in life that get me into that flow state. I only a couple of things, One of them is definitely programming, video editing, and sometimes writing. I just got to get started on it. So I figure if I'm ever going to go down a career path in life, it's got to be within those few things.
Mhm.
Because when it comes to programming, if I get started, I'm stuck. I'm stuck until like someone pulls me out. Video editing, I've before I've spent entire days and nights straight programming. I mean, not programming, video editing.
Mhm.
So there's might be a future for me in that. And then writing's hard to get motivation to start, but once I'm in it, I can finish.
Yeah, definitely. I feel the same way.
Hmm.
And it's really funny that you mentioned video editing because the
Yeah.
last two people I had on the podcast were that
Yeah.
was that was one of the big things that they were doing.
Yeah.
Can you tell me about some of the projects you've done? I know I remember the one thing you did when with like psych from
Yeah.
however long ago. I remember that.
Yeah.
What else have you worked on?
Honestly, I haven't done much since then. It's like video editing, it's something I have a love-hate relationship for it. I hate it
Mm,
because I've always had to do things for school within a
mm,
time limit,
yeah.
and I don't feel like I've had enough time to really express myself creatively with it. Never really
Mm,
got the time to sit down, draft up a storyboard, all that kind of stuff. Um, and then recently, my free version of Adobe Premiere Pro and After Effects that I that I purchased a while ago stopped working, so I haven't really had my favorite editing tools to even try and create something.
Yeah.
But it's definitely something that I keep in mind. It's like, I wouldn't hate it if my life ended up being like, a CGI person or like an effects person on a movie set. Like
Hmm.
that's pretty cool. I could see myself doing that.
Hmm.
I find myself to be a very creative person, in a lot of different outlets, and I feel like that helps me get rid of my creativity.
Yeah, and I mean, I think a lot of us are like creative in some regard. So
Yeah,
I think that's just something that all of us need too.
yeah,
But
it's a little bit
obviously
of an
some of
outlet.
us can't express it as well.
Yeah,
But yeah, what have been some of your favorite effects that you've noticed? I know there aren't too many things coming out nowadays, but
that's a
anything
good
that comes to
question.
mind?
Let me get a bottle of water first because I'm very
Okay, yeah.
thirsty. Yeah.
Yeah, no worries. Let me pause here.
All right.
And we're back. That was our first ever break in the podcast.
Who?
But anyways, yeah, what were you saying about I think I asked what are some of the best effects that like stand out to you?
Like in terms of movies,
Well, I
or
guess in terms of anything, because I mean you were pretty broad when you first brought it up too, so I guess
yeah. Um, I'll stray away from video games because I don't like the video game industry when it comes to employment. I that's like I wouldn't touch that with a 15-foot pole, dude. That's like it's good. Games are great, man. Great games have been better than ever. But if
mhm.
you want to work with unpaid overtime for like and work 70-hour work weeks, be my guest. I'm not gonna do it. Hell
Yeah.
no.
Yep.
But
Well, they pay you in passion, don't they?
oh, good for them. Go ahead, do that. But I mean, in terms of movies, something that kind of blew my mind not too long ago was when I watched that Lion King remake where they used real animals, and
Yeah.
the movie was whatever. It's just the Lion King but real life. Okay,
Lion
whatever.
King, but again.
Yeah,
Like so many other movies,
yeah.
but
But I found it so interesting was during the opening scene or one of the opening scenes when like I don't know if you remember, but like Scar takes down a mouse and holds it up as like life's not fair, is it? You know, when they showed that mouse on screen, I was like, that looks real. That looks so real. That I swear to God, I thought they filmed a mouse just walking. That looks so real.
yeah.
I, and I was like, wow, we've come a long way. The
Hmm.
rest of the movie was pretty unrealistic in a lot of regards, but like that bordered photorealistic, like real life, and I was really surprised by that.
Like they paid a mouse and a lion to film that scene.
Exactly, dude. I was like, what the heck? There's no way that's animated. That looks so good.
Yeah, dude, it's super crazy that you mentioned that because there's so many things like especially with all the live action remakes, the effects sometimes look so good. And I mean, what comes to mind for me is like Mandalorian.
I
I
haven't seen that yet,
You
dude.
haven't seen it?
No, I gotta get on that. I
You
just started
do.
watching WandaVision, but I haven't got
Oh,
Mandalorian yet.
yeah, dude, that is a must watch.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think one of the things that I was reading was like Jean Favreau uses instead of like a typical green screen, I guess he's using you've heard of it,
Yeah, I've heard
have
of
you?
that. Yeah. That's
But yeah, so he uses instead of a green screen, they like using the actual like panels and it's
they use
crazy.
they use TV screens basically.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah.
And it looks good. I mean,
I've seen like little clips here and there. It
mhm,
looks real life. Looks real. It's
yeah,
crazy.
yeah. So I don't know, dude. Maybe Disney just makes some crazy stuff.
Maybe maybe they got they got the money for it. They could do whatever they want. They could
Yeah,
cure cancer. Nah, let's make real life
let's
Lion
make
King.
let's film this scene where he picks up a mouse.
It looks real. It looks real.
Dude, actually, you bring up a good point because I bet that scene alone. and like some of the other scenes, like Mandalorian, whatever.
Oh man,
Those have definitely caused to like bank, dude.
they got the money for it, dude.
Yeah.
Disney is one of the biggest organization corporations out there. They can do whatever they want, basically. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, that's a discussion for another day.
Time will tell, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah,
I would love I don't know. I love movies.
me
Like I'd
too.
love to, I don't know, act in one of them or be like behind the scenes or anything. Because I think
Yeah,
I don't know, there's something special about a movie for me.
there it is. It's a ritual, you know, especially when you go to the movie theater. It's like this whole ritual. You go into a dark room, and you're being one of the first people in the world to have ever seen this movie, and
Mhm.
it's displayed in like the most grandiose way possible. And
Mhm.
there's just something special about it. There's always something special about movies, you know. And it doesn't matter if it's like an older movie or a newer movie. Like it's always something magical about it. People worked on that. People put passion into that.
A lot of people.
Yeah,
You know,
Jesus.
if you have to wait, you know, because we've watched all of the Avengers, Marvel,
Oh
and
man, I could talk about that for days, dude. That's it's amazing.
yeah.
Only Disney could have done that. Only Disney.
Hmm. Well,
Yeah.
credit to them because they make awesome stuff,
Yeah.
and yeah. But it's just so cool to me when you think about going to the movie theater and everything, because like you can go in there with like a full house, and everyone will take it a different way, you know. And I think
Yeah.
that's probably one of the most powerful things, in my opinion, just of like how much it influences me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is very interesting. Everyone has a different outlook on film or different types of films.
Hmm. And I don't know. I think, did you watch Soul?
I did watch Soul, yeah.
That was I love that movie. That was a good movie.
That was a really good movie. I'm glad they did what they did there.
Hmm.
You know, they displayed like black culture really well and, you know, thoughts of like existentialism. It was very well done. I like the concept.
Yep. Only Disney could
Yeah.
convey existentialism in a kids movie.
Yeah, what the heck? This is
But
really good.
yeah, movies are so cool.
Yeah.
Maybe this will kickstart my acting career. I'd be totally down.
Dude.
Or your
Yeah.
CGI career.
Hire me, man. I'll film you. I'll do all that stuff.
Yes, that would be so cool.
Yeah.
I think, yeah. And I mean, you already told me what video games you were playing, which, yeah,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
the effects are.
Well, I just wanted to
But
play older games. There's some newer
yeah,
games that really blow me away, and like I'll get to them. But like, you gotta appreciate your foundations. You gotta appreciate where like why we call some games classics.
hmm,
You know?
yeah. So I mean, some games have like awesome graphics, but you play them and you're like, why am I still playing?
This is horrible.
So
GTA. It's like GTA is a fantastic game, but if you play the online aspect, it's like, what am I doing with my life?
yeah, there are trade-offs to anything and everything.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, we could probably, dude, I could probably talk about movies and like Marvel theories or whatever for
Oh
like
man,
all day. But I
that's
guess
another podcast in of
that
itself.
yes, well, we have something to look forward to if you ever want to come back on,
Yeah,
which I hope you will.
yeah, that'd be cool. I'd be down.
But yeah, so thanks. I guess we'll wrap it up. Thanks for being here today.
Yeah.
Did you want to plug anything?
Uh, I guess I could say look for the app Kingdom Safety on the App Store within, I don't know, hopefully a few days. I guess by the time that this is published, maybe it'll already be out.
Yeah,
But
hopefully.
yeah, it's just look for that, and I'll give Jacob a link to my research paper if and when it gets published.
Yeah, yeah.
uh,
And we could probably check out your work at like GitHub. What's your GitHub?
oh yeah, my GitHub is King Jordan 152. Pretty simple, so you guys can check that out. I got a few projects on there. A lot of things are privated because like they're just work in progresses, but I got a few things. I got the handwriting software.
Mhm.
I don't have the code for Kingdom Safety. You guys aren't allowed to look at that. Don't roast me on that. Yeah, just a few things here and there.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Jordan's a super interesting guy. Awesome programmer, of course. This episode we talked about that.
Yeah, thank you.
And pretty great guy all around. So I'm very
Oh,
glad you were on.
thanks, man. That
And
means a lot.
yeah, so thank you, dear listeners, for tuning in today. We upload every Monday, 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you like the episode, please leave a review. That really helps out a lot. And yeah, we'll see you next week.
Later.
Wait, I pressed the wrong button.